Music, music, music. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Swing to the Rhythm. My name is Gilbert, this is Damon, your co-host. We're focused on music in the country dance halls. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe and also the bell for notifications. We are one of the only dance shows in all of YouTube and on the internet that discusses current dance trends related to West Coast swing and country western dancing in Houston and also in the global dance scene. Damon, I think this is an exciting episode because music is the way that people express themselves. And we want to talk today about what you've seen in the past with music, specifically in country dance halls, and how that has evolved over time. Tell us, back when you started dancing in the late 80s, what was music like compared to today?
Well, one is, first I should start by saying that Gilbert wanted to do this episode to cause a ruckus.
Hand raised.
Yep. Always trying to cause a ruckus. No, it's a good topic. I think this is a good episode, too, to talk about the late 80s when I got into the club industry. I was only there, I started teaching dance, as we talked about in episode 1, and teaching in the bars in 87, just before my 18th birthday. It was a little more clear-cut. The rhythms were definitely different back then. It was real percussion, not the snap tracks that we have now. I think it was much easier to pick out whether the song was a true two-step. I call them boom, tick, two-steps because it's the bass beat and the snare beat, boom, tick, and it was like, oh, that's a two-step. And when it was a polka, it was just a regular triplet rhythm. It was still 4/4 time, but it was da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So it had that lick between the bass beat and the snare beat that made you feel like you needed to do a triple to it. Waltz is pretty much the same just because it's 3/4 times. That was pretty easy to pick out. Boom, tick, tick, a boom, tick, tick. So that was a little bit easier. Not that we weren't doing other dance styles, but those were the primary ones, including West Coast swing. Those weren't country songs. So the whole room knew that we weren't going to dance a two-step to that because it was typically whatever was popular on the radio at that time, the top 40 sound, whatever.
So it was very clear.
It was really clear.
Two-step, polka, waltz,
West Coast swing, or East Coast swing, or a cha-cha. It was very clear. And more of the dancers did more of the dances. Not that that hasn't happened in the recent past, and it depends on the community you're in. Our community these days, secondary dances, nightclub, triple two has never been really popular in Houston. There's only a few people that actually do it. It is a good dance. I wish more people knew it. It's a little contrived now that the UCWDC got its hands on it. So we used to call it shuffle, where we would go walk, walk, triple step, but now they've added shaping and swing and sway and made it more of a smooth dance, and we only have a couple of competitive dancers that go out that actually are dancing, triple two. Cha-cha, East Coast swing, they're falling by the wayside, typically because the instructors at the clubs don't know the dances, or are trying to always teach the more popular dances, but we used to always try to filter those in there when we were, heading that up, where we were trying to keep those dances alive as well. So the format has changed a little bit in that way because if the floor goes dead, the DJ starts to panic, and so they'll turn that off,
The ones that are aware.
They'll avoid playing that song. The ones that are aware, that's a true story. Back then, we had a format. That format has been around since that time, since the 80s. A dude out of Nashville, Tennessee named Wynn Jackson came up with a tape club, a cassette tape club, showing my age here, and it was called Country Club Enterprises. And he would look at the top songs that were released that week on Billboard magazine, and he would tag those songs as what kind of dance they were, how many beats per minute they were, and the type of energy that they had. And that system was used all the way up until today. In some places, the format has changed slightly because different areas dances are more popular. Some dances are more popular. But we had a format, and the format worked. And the non-dancer didn't even realize that format was going on so much, where the dancers knew. So the dancers could be sitting on the side and going, oh, it's a two-step set coming up, and they'd be like, hey, I want to get the second two-step with you, or someone already asked me for the first one. You also knew that it was building in the energy because it worked up and down on the pie chart like this within each section of the playlist, whether it was two-step or polka, and it got faster and built up. And then it would take it back down on purpose to a waltz and a belt buckle polishing song that we now do nightclub to for the people that know how to do that. And people went to the bar because they danced like 9 songs in a row and they were thirsty. So it kind of worked for the bar and it worked for the dancers. But the non-dancer wasn't aware that format was going on. They just knew that there was an ebb and flow that worked. it worked.
They could sense it.
They could sense it. And whether they knew what kind of dance was coming or not, they knew when the set was going to be more energetic and when it was going to go back down. And, and if they were only there on a date and they were going to slow dance with somebody because they didn't know, two-step or one of the other dance styles that we were doing, they knew that they were going to get that one chance to ask that girl to go out and slow dance to that song. So even then, they had a feeling about how the energy and the format was changing. I'd say 2018, 19, the country bars in Houston, I called them out a couple of times. I'm kind of outspoken. I called them out a couple of times, and I was like, hey, the format doesn't need to go away. If you want to tweak the format, that's one thing. But they wanted to get rid of it. They were like, it's old, it's tired, we're tired of doing that. And the main reason why that happened was because we had really good DJs around Houston, and we still have good DJs around Houston. Primarily, 2 or 3 that are like tops around here, and then everybody else is kind of far down the list. But we've got 2 or 3 really good DJs that were here during that time, and they weren't being paid properly. Bottom line is they weren't being paid properly. So they were young, came in, they thought being famous and being the DJ was enough to sustain them. And then suddenly they got older and they realized that they couldn't buy a house, and then they wanted to get married and they wanted to have kids, and they couldn't make it on a DJ salary. And the bars kind of abused them in that way, most all of them that I know of. There may be some out there, and I'm sure if there are, then they see this, they'll want to argue with me over it, but they probably don't pay fair either. They're just talking smack anyway, because they're pretty greedy. And so they don't pay their people well enough to keep them there. Well, how good do they feel about training the next one? They'll just replace them with someone else who thinks they want to be famous. And so it became this problem in the country bar business that they run out of DJs. They run through them, they make them upset, they make them feel underappreciated. They go down the road, and the next one that comes in needs a dance instructor or somebody who programmed music in the past, to teach the new DJ how to play good music, and they're normally a little resistant at first. Now, some of the DJs around Houston recently, I feel like they've softened up a little bit because the dancers vote with their dollars and vote with their bodies. They show up. And if the DJ doesn't play good dance music, they don't show up. But for that stretch for just a little while, they tried to get away from the format, and it was a complete, beep
Train
show.
wreck.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
And the dancers were confused. Everybody was confused. The DJ went from a two-step to a polka into a line dance song, and then somebody went up there and paid him $5 like they got to pay a DJ to play a song. Well, they need the money because the club's not paying them enough. And so they're like, I want to hear this Dwight Yoakam song that I really like that's not danceable, but they slipped them a 10 or a 20, and they play it in the middle of the night, because they want to make that money. And so it was a train wreck. And then some of them went, oh my gosh, we screwed this up.
The dance hall owners?
Yeah, eventually they're like, what's going on? Of course, they're quick to blame the DJ. The dance floor goes empty. Who are they blaming? The owners and managers don't know anything about country music. So then they've got a DJ that's 4th generation, not trained, at this point.
Yep.
And so they want to blame the DJ. Well, you're not playing good music. Here's what you should play. Like they know what to play. I've heard club owners go up to the DJ booth and act like they know what to play, and they absolutely do not know the difference between a two-step and a polka.
Yeah.
And they're up there telling the DJ what to play.
Yeah, like dancing, it's a skill. Music selection is a skill, and
Big time.
the only reason that Damon and I know about this is because we've been around for years, and we
Witness it on the regular.
witness it on the regular, and we're also dancing to the music, and we hear what the other dancers are saying.
Right.
So when they try to change the format, and we'll go back to what the format means and how it's set up, but when they do try to change the format, meaning the DJs in the clubs, dancers immediately pick up on it, and you immediately can tell that whether they're happy about it or whether they're not happy about it.
They're very vocal, and I would say, in this, we're kind of picking on the country bars right now because they 100% deserve it. But at the same time, the dance community, they're not nice. They're nice people outside of that, but all you got to do is play like a bad format, and their teeth come out like real fast, and they're not nice about it. And they don't know how to go about, approaching some highly egotistical DJs, which most of them are. They don't go at them in the right way. play. And so now it's a fight. So now the DJ doesn't even want to play music that makes them happy because they went about it the wrong way, and they go up there accusatory and acting like they're doing it on purpose and this, that, and the
That
other.
happened all the time at Wild West.
All the time.
At Wild West.
And, we have, number one complainer I've ever seen in the club business here in Houston. She's crazy. But anyway, and
Side note.
Don't you edit that out either. She deserves it. And everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Well, before we dive too much into this, what's the format? Because we haven't really even explained what the format is.
I ain't giving that away.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
Man.
It's changed a little bit over time. But if you consider that each song is 3 to 3.5 minutes, well, you divide an hour by the song, and you're playing hopefully an even number. In our community, it's different in different places. In Dallas, it'd be really different. They're going to play a lot of progressive double two songs that we don't even play here unless we're going to play a couple of triple twos. But you're going to do 3 to 4 two-steps, 3 to 4 polkas, hopefully not too fast because nobody wants to dance to fast polkas, so the DJs are really just going after energy instead of a feel-good song. If they played slower polkas that had energy but they were slower beats per minute, more people would be interested in dancing more polka. And then 3 West Coast swing songs and not acting like you're going to mix music. We have DJs that are pretending like they know how to mix music at the country bars. I'm not saying some of you don't, some of you can't, but it's just kind of weird. And then you got to ask somebody to do a West Coast, and 30 seconds in, they're mixing into some other song and the beats don't match. And it's like, you didn't do that all night. Don't worry about that. How about you just play the song in its entirety and let the West Coast swing community, which is a large part of our dance community here, have the 3 songs they deserve after coming out supporting the club and waiting around the country set because they only dabble in country dance. They're really there to dance West Coast swing. So that's a really missed opportunity from the country bars here if they're not playing an actual real West Coast swing set. And so that's usually 3 songs. Some of the DJs have started to break that up a little bit where they'll do a couple of two-steps, a couple of polkas, and come back to them within the same hour. But it kind of has that feeling, and you still need to warm your community up to that idea and get them to buy into it and be okay with it if you plan on sustaining that and making that work, and that there being that symbiotic relationship between the dancers and the club and the DJ. Yeah.
And in this format, so sounds.
And then usually 3 line dance songs
and a waltz.
Cha-chas are falling by the wayside left and right, but every now and then they'll throw a cha-cha in there.
Sure.
East Coast swings happen probably maybe every 3rd set.
Once, yeah.
I don't even think it happens every set anymore, but nobody really wants to dance that hard. Nobody wants, you're looking at your watch after you do an East Coast swing super fast, and people want to be more chill than that.
The fast ones, yeah. Some of them are slower.
Well, if you do a single time, to it, you can do it and have fun.
Zoot suit, right?
Yeah, some of the faster ones are where you can do single time instead of triple rhythm East Coast swing.
Yeah.
Nobody's interested in you doing triple time East Coast swing at the club. You should be doing single time.
Dwight Yoakam, I think he has a fast triple. Man, that's crazy.
Hundreds of them. Right.
So there's a format, and this is by the hour, and there's a clear start and a clear finish, and it cycles through this about an hour, roughly.
It's about an hour.
Okay.
And that can be a little bit longer than an hour. If DJs build certain things in, like you got a community that dances everything, you might decide, because two-step and West Coast swing are still going to be the most popular dances to dance to, but they play a lot of polka because that's what the radio stations continue to push down our throat, and then they're playing a lot of snap tracks now. We talked about the boom tick two-steps. Those are almost a thing of the past. Thank goodness that we have, artists like Zach Top and some of the new ones that are coming around that are interested in playing actual two-step music again, because we lost that straight up 2/4 and 4/4 time that was bass snare. Everything went to that, doom and everybody's like, where's the beat? And the beats per minute are actually slow, and it's hard to make slow two-step attractive. So they're kind of killing us with that beat over the last few years. I do feel like there's lately an insurgence of more two-step sounding songs that are actually two-step sounding, which is great, because two-step is still king, and it is still the coolest country dance that will ever be, invented. And so I hope that they keep that up. Now with the, with progressive, any version of country swing, whether it's stationary or whether it's progressive, country swing being a catchphrase, it's like some people think country swing is progressive, some people think it's stationary. We don't have as much stationary here because we have more people that do progressive dances in our community than in some other places.
Yeah.
But so you start adding a couple of those songs that they really like, and then suddenly you're more than an hour if you're going to appease everyone. You know, because and they'll get out there and dance bar coast or whatever to the West Coast swing set. So and then line dance. You know, the younger dancers are doing couples and line. The hard part, which you and I have talked about a lot, is that needle scratch that happens at 10:15. Hardcore change of the music about 10:15. 10:30, where the DJ feels like they have to change the format so dramatically to appease people. I don't know that it's really appeasing people. The people that are just coming in don't know what the vibe felt like before, but the people that were there are totally shocked by the volume because the music is being played too loud, for sure. And it's not because I'm old, because I ask young people all the time, I'm like, is this too loud? They're like, it's too loud. And some DJs are more receptive. I can ask DJs that are friends with us, I can ask Damon, whatever, and he'll be like, oh, is it a little too loud? Just for the number of bodies that are in there, because bodies do absorb sound. So the more bodies you get, you can crank the music up a little bit more, because more bodies, you need more sound.
And people are going to be loud to begin with at a club.
Right.
That adds to the music volume.
Noise, absolutely. Yeah. And so I just feel like they're missing an opportunity. They could keep that earlier crowd there. They need to turn their tables at least 3 times, if not 4 times. You need a happy hour crowd, you need your early dance crowd, and you need your late crowd. Minimum. You could change 4 times, just depending on what your club is and what you're trying to offer. But it's really just a matter of not running off. You don't have to run off the early crowd. The people, the 10 o'clock, 10:15, 10:30, they would stay and buy another round of drinks, at however much per drink, 400, 500 people before leaving. But they're all looking at their watch because the music is changing so dramatically, at that time.
Yeah, and one final note here before we end the episode. Over the course of the years that we've been dancing, we've heard a couple people say, what do you mean there are multiple dances? Isn't everything a 2-step? What would you say to those people? Hey, I know what I would say to those people. What do you tend to say to those people?
What would you say? Okay, all right.
I would tell them.
Put you on the hot seat.
Not exactly. That's funny. You should say that.
That's what Gilbert from about 5 years ago would have said.
Yeah,
you're a different Gilbert now. You'd probably be like, "What?" No.
I've had some practice responding to some Facebook comments. So.
That's right. They're firing you up a little bit. There's a bunch of different versions of 2-step out there, and so one thing that I find funny, because people want to fight with us online, and we like to give it back. Nobody knows more about 2-step than me and a couple of other people on this planet who are in agreement about its origins, where it comes from, and whatever else. But they think that because we have moved on and become more professional dancers and whatever, that we don't understand the grassroots movement, and that there's different styles of 2-step, everywhere. And there's a whole bunch of different styles. But if it is 2-step, because 2-step is a direct descendant of foxtrot. It is 4 steps happening over 6 beats of music, the way a dancer would count the music. 1, 2, 3, hold 4, 5, hold 6, quick, quick, slow, slow. And if you're a musician, you might count that 1 and 2, 3. So they would say that was happening over 3 beats of music. But when you dance it, it's happening over the same span. So it just depends on whether you have a musical background and you can read music, and But most dancers are counting it 1, 2, 3, hold 4, 5, hold 6, which is bass, snare, bass,
quick,
instead
quick,
of
slow.
And if you're counting it the other way, 1 and 2, 3, it's the same. Bass, snare, bass, it's the same. People get confused about that. But if it's 2-step, it is 4 transfers of weight. You cannot transfer weight 3 times, which is what some people will try to say when they say it's 1, 2, 1, because they're not doing math, and they're starting with the same foot every time, but they're acting like they're doing an odd number of steps, which is a little ridiculous. And then recently we've had people come on there and act like we don't know what we're doing, that are acting like it's 5 steps. And
we've heard a couple of those.
And I'm like, what are you even talking about? So you're going to start every other basic on the other foot? And I mean, they'll go to their deathbed fighting us over how 2-step works.
Yeah, quick, slow.
That's an argument that we're always going to win.
And one last thing, the energy of the music, you could tell, and also the beat. So brand new dancers that have never heard country music before, even just by listening to the instruments and listening to the energy, as Damon mentioned earlier, those are indicators of what style of dance you should do. in that song.
Yeah, on that note, just take a listen, watch the couples dance by. You're going to see a lot of different versions. Take an overall view. They're doing, that seems like a two-step. They're not. What do they do? That seems like a two-step. And maybe you get a feel for that's a two-step, right? Then when you go to get on the floor, and this is for a lot of you younger folks out there, but some of you older folks too, and some of you people right here in our dance community that are not being very, you're not being very nice about the way you get on the floor. Too often people step on the floor like entering the highway without looking. You would die. I mean, for you young people out there, it's not your dance hall. It's everybody's dance hall. And we want you to be there with us, but you need some manners. And if your parents don't teach you any, some of the cowboys out there will, but you need to look where you're going and make sure that you're getting on the floor at a convenient time that's not stepping out directly in front of someone. But a lot of our dancers, I love y'all. I love our dance community here. You know how I feel about you guys. You're a culprit too. I mean, you do the same. And when a song ends, we all like to bottleneck, and this is any dance community you go to. We typically stand on the same end of the floor, and you'll step off the floor one step and stop with 12, 15 people behind you trying to get off the floor. So everybody that you're complaining about being in the way on the dance floor over and over and over, you're making our dancers stand on the dance floor and wait to get off because you're clogging up the exit. And it's just like, I just wish that everybody was being a little bit more conscious of what's happening. Because it's been so family, and the whole thing just flows so well when the whole community is involved in that. So I would hate to see that go away. You and I were talking about that earlier. It just feels so good when someone's driving. When someone's driving the bus. Someone's driving this
giving
ship.
some directions.
It's like, oh, there's this happens for a reason. Well, the new customer, they'll adopt that culture as long as there is culture. What I'm finding today is that the country bars are losing their culture is what's happening. So no one's driving. Other than the DJ. So we hope that he's a good driver.
A good driver, yep.
Right?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode 6 of Swing to the Rhythm.
There's some good
Can't forget about
female
those
DJs out there.
Yep. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and also the bell for notifications. We are one of the only dance shows in all of YouTube and on the internet that discusses current dance trends related to West Coast swing and country western dancing in Houston and also in the global dance scene. Take care. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching.